Hey everybody, Coach here. Hey, thanks for taking a couple of minutes and joining me on this very brisk November morning. Hey, by the time this hits you guys, I just want to say in advance, because it'll probably come out right after the holiday. For those of you who celebrate Thanksgiving, happy Thanksgiving. I hope you guys have a safe, sane, and enjoyable 4-day vacation this week. And if you get it here on Friday or Saturday, I hope you had one. Hey, this week we're talking a little bit about retreats, refuges, if you will, but mainly the outdoor personal spaces of your own landscape. Hey, join me, will you? It's going to be an interesting one. Hey, I'm Matt. You can call me Coach. Every Friday I bring with me landscape DIY education, concepts and theories, ideas and solutions, so you guys can go out and tackle a landscape project yourself, get professional results, save a whole lot of money in the process, and in this day and age, be a lot more self-reliant. Man, after a 20-plus year career in the green industry, I'm bringing with me a lot of knowledge and experience that I want to share with you guys, the new, modern, educated, self-reliant homeowner of today. Now, for some of you, obviously, these retreats or hidey holes that people should have in this day and age can be indoors as well. And if you live in an environment that just requires you to be indoors during the colder months, hey, I'm sure you could develop something. But what I'm speaking to this week is about those places outdoors. Outdoors that can be 3-season, and if done correctly, can be 4-season. And they're personal spaces that you can retire to recharge, regenerate, and be a better you just because of them. You know, in this day and age, I think more than any other time that I can remember in my 63 years, it's really taxing to some people. The daily life and the daily grind is much different than what we felt generations ago. Not because that there weren't stressors and things back then, there certainly were, but more at the speed at which they collide with us every day. And in order to be a better you have to prioritize. You have to prioritize a time periodically, daily if you can, that is just for you. And that's where landscaping of intimate spaces and outdoor personal spaces come into play. Now, when I was designing, I'll tell you, there was probably a dozen that I designed. And the thing is that the average homeowner never gives these things thought. The average homeowner is good with the 3-foot foundation bed, some grass, a patio, a tree, and call it good. And for a lot of people, that's okay. It's just fine. Maybe their priorities aren't in the landscape. Their priorities are taken elsewhere with family and elderly and vocation and stuff. But for those of you who give it just a modicum of extra thought, this particular type of landscape element can really benefit you as an individual. And when I say outdoor personal spaces, I refer to the homeowners, not the whole family, but the homeowners, generally mom, generally dad. And it kind of stops right about there. This is not the children's playground. It's not a dog run for doggo. This isn't a place for the mother-in-law. This is a place for you guys to retire to for just a little while and enjoy some elements that I'm going to discuss. Man, if you have the ability to escape just a little bit, think of how much better of a person you are, not only as a parent, as a spouse, as an employee or an employer, as a neighbor. These kinds of things are more important nowadays than ever, in my humble opinion. So back when I was being taught landscape design, we called these outdoor personal spaces and some parts and themes of the landscape, we called them vignettes. So vignettes of outdoor personal space, vignettes of outdoor living space, vegetable gardens, they were vignettes, and they were part and parceled through the landscape and connected in various ways, either with pathways or flagstone or whatever it might have been. But what I'm speaking to is a place that's literally kind of visually walled off from the rest of the landscape. And it's a place that maybe you can enter and exit through your master bedroom. And there's lots of elements that you could put in there that allow you to lower those shoulders, relax, and enjoy some of the things that really take you from parent to person, and from employee or employer to person again. And whatever those elements might be, and they're different for every single person, these particular elements should be incorporated. And later in the video, stick with me if you would, later in the video I'm going to talk to you about some of the planning that has to go into these places. You know, one of the things that we never get in this world is we are never given more time. We have a finite amount of time that we're given in our lifetime, but we are given choice, and we're given choice in how we use that time. And in this day and age, prioritizing your time between work, between family, between friends is almost paramount as far as getting it down to a fine science. And if you have the ability right now to be able to prioritize some time for yourself and a place to do it in, man, I think personally that you got your priorities in the right spot. So here's some examples or some ideas of what outdoor personal spaces really entail or contain. At least what I've done in designing and what I have seen and read about. Some of these I have done myself as a contractor, some I have read about and seen about. So they're not all my ideas, believe me, but I'm just bringing them to you for you to start raising your level of awareness and maybe thinking about something like this next spring or next summer. You know, landscaping your outdoor personal areas is not meant for the 5- and 6-figure renovation crowd. That's not who I cater to. I cater to you DIYers that have a budget of whatever. Now, if you guys have a big checkbook and you want to really go super gooch on this, then fine. But most of the time you can get away with, you know, a few $1,000s at most in order to do this. A little bit of planning will be in order. But imagine this. Imagine you put up a nice, tasteful fencing area, you know, maybe in a 10 by 15 part of the yard. You put some nice perennials and some shrubbery in front of it. And inside this fenced off area, you make it an outdoor living space just for you. Maybe you put in some nice decorative, well-stained 6x6 posts. And on there, you put yourself a nice quality hammock. And maybe go find some moderately priced but good quality Bluetooth wireless outdoor speakers that you can tap into your phone and play some of your favorite music while you relax in the hammock for just a little while. And maybe you have a good book, maybe you have a glass of wine, and you just veg for 30 minutes. Just that simple personal luxury can go a long ways from taking you up here of the day and maybe bringing you down here for the day. And just a little bit like that. Don't you think that investment is worth it in you? Wow, I think it is. I truly believe. And in this day and age, I don't think they're so much a luxury anymore as a necessity. So here's another idea. What if you went and found one of those, maybe a custom builder, or you ordered up a tough shed? You know, I'm not sponsored by them, but I'm just saying, you know, an outdoor shed area. And then on the front of this shed, you had one of those bifold or trifold glass doors that open and close it. And you actually have a retreat that's a building. And inside you have a couple of nice, cozy recliners. Maybe a big screen that you can watch the movie you recorded, or a movie you missed because you were at work, or maybe the big game. Maybe you got a little mini fridge or something there. It's kind of a she shed, man cave type of idea. But then out in front, you've got the front part of the shed area that borders onto your master bedroom. And out there, you've got a nice water feature. Maybe a small pondless waterfall. Maybe a flagstone path that goes to the slider. And maybe a nice path that goes over to the family outdoor living space. Now you've got something that's really yours, and you can customize it and do the flooring, the walls, however you want to do it, maybe even a small apron of deck out in front of the shed. Now you've really created a special spot just for you. You know, when you're talking about sheds, we talked about those right here a couple of weeks ago. Check them out. They are a valuable piece of landscape equipment. So there you go, idea number 2. The last one that I saw recently when I was doing some research for this was something that maybe it caters to the ladies more than the guys, but you know, whatever. Anyway, I saw this wonderful idea, a nice private area out there, and then on a paver patio, these people had put a nice clawfoot tub. Had plumbed some hot and cold water out there, and it was a beautiful bathtub retreat in their backyard. And it was nicely walled off with tasteful fencing and some greenscape inside. They had some speakers on the fence, and it was really nice. It was tastefully done. And I don't know about you, but I don't think there's a woman out there that wouldn't, if she knew it was safe, go out there and have a nice, relaxing soak in the backyard while listening to music and having a glass of vino at the same time. I think there again, it would take a working woman from here down to here in a really nice way. So before we go any further, let's talk about some consideration that you have to think about when designing one of these personal outdoor areas. Number one is, do you have the area or the space allowed to create yourself something nice? 15 by 10 or slightly larger would be more than enough to create that small, intimate outdoor area perfect for your retreat. So first consideration is, do you actually have the area capable of putting one of these things in, either in your existing landscape, or if you're doing a brand new house with a brand new dirt yard that you have to build, will you have the space? And how will you prioritize that amount of area dedicated to you? The other thing is do you have a budget? If you have a budget, is it set for realism, or is set for pie in the sky type of stuff? Or do you just need to put a lounge chair outside your master bedroom and call it good? All depends, but you have to do a little bit of thought before you go jumping off into this. Although you're creating it for you, can this area be multitask, multifunctional? Maybe if you're fencing it in, to seclude it from the rest of the yard so it's just your personal area, maybe you have hinges on the fence posts where they can open up and reveal that area and give it just a little bit more flow or usability should you be entertaining a large group or whatever. That way you can open up the idea to a water feature being visible, or landscape lighting that lights up a tree over in your corner, or whatever it might be. Can it be multifunctional? Will this be created by your hand or someone else? Or maybe a combo. Maybe if you're having a fancy outdoor building brought in for this, like I mentioned earlier, maybe that's going to be done by somebody else, but you can do the greenscape in and around. Maybe you can do the pathways. Maybe you can do the plantings or the irrigation or the lighting. And more than anything, does this type of area fit your version of relaxation? Some people, their form of relaxation is go to the golf course and hit a bucket of balls. Maybe some people like to go running. They don't want to sit somewhere. They want to blow off steam, so they go running, or they go to the gym. But maybe some of us just like to retreat and veg and for a few minutes and become themselves again. Lastly, and probably more important than everything else, is in your particular yard that you could put an area like this in, is the yard the right place? Do you have good neighbors that don't blast music? Do you have chronic barking dogs behind you or next to you that constantly bark? Do you have a busy boulevard out in the front of your house that would take Niagara Falls to drown out in order to not hear it? Some situations you just can't escape that, and maybe an indoor escape is the only way you're going to do it. But think about that. Think about your immediate neighborhood that affects you on a daily basis? Could you have a retreat like this where as soon as you sat down, the two doggos behind you are just rah, 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 rah? Well, that's not going to work very well. So consider that as well. I think in looking at those considerations, you're going to need to have a solid 4 out of 5 or 4 out of 6 hard yeses. And if you think the space is worth it and you have the budget to do it, by all means, think it out, plan it out, and move forward. Now, if you think I forgot about you hobbyists out there, I did not. I did not. Many of us find great relaxation from doing certain hobbies, and a lot of people escape the world by woodworking or artistic painting, fly tying, knitting, creating music or listening to music, pottery or soap making, any number of hobbies. You can come up with your own. Those kinds of things can still be melded into this personal space. Imagine one of those little man cave or she shed ideas, and inside you have an artist studio complete with easels and palettes and paints and all that kind of stuff. What a fantastic way to go and retreat for a little while. Or maybe you're a cigar smoking, pool shooting, beer drinking type of guy that you want to have your buds over, and you get out there and you do that kind of thing. As long as it's within moderation, what a great way to go out and relax and do what you want to do without having to share you with the rest of the world just for a little while. So these outdoor personal areas are generally created from a combination of man-made elements like fencing and trellis and brick and mortar and stone and all kinds of things. And a lot of times people get a lot more relaxation when they surround themselves with greenscape. And it's all plant material. It's all colorful perennials and hedgerow and whatever really floats their boat, or some combination of both. But whatever it is, think about you first and think about what brings relaxation to you. I cannot express that enough, is you need to be you. And if you go and be you for a while and then come back to the world, everyone's going to notice. How in the heck does she stay so balanced? How can she be so cheerful at the end of a day? I think you see where I'm going with that. Now, if you want to go big or go home, you can incorporate a lot of landscape elements into this personal space, especially if maybe you're a single person and you don't have anybody out there. You can replicate and duplicate certain landscape elements just to bring them into this personal area. For instance, you can bring in fire pits both of natural wood, although in this day and age I would probably shy away from that, especially in certain cities. They just don't allow outdoor fires. But maybe natural gas or propane. You could do water features in the form of pondless waterfalls or standalone water features that just have that beautiful water, that flowing water ambiance sound. Outdoor lighting so you can enjoy it in the evening after the sun goes down and for ease of navigation. Music piped in by wireless Bluetooth speakers are all the rage nowadays. So consider some of these elements. And then lastly, before I leave you, is think about your traffic flow in and out of this area. You know, you should have the ability to get to your personal area, both from the outdoor living space where everybody goes and from an intimate area like the master bedroom. And pathways should be always safe, durable, and navigable throughout all seasons. You know, basic landscape design really plays a big part in these personal areas. If you're doing it with a brand new home, then incorporate those design ideas from the very get-go. Maybe you won't put it in for a year or so based on budget. Maybe you're going to be doing it right away. But whatever you do, consider little infrastructure items like lighting cable underground already, irrigation underground already, electrical underground already, maybe a gas line that has to be pulled over there, maybe concrete pad, maybe any number of things, especially if you go into something like some of the smaller hot tubs that you might put into one of these areas. This is where electrical and permits and other things have to be pulled. So remember, planning, just like any other landscape project, you have to think those things out before you get started. Well, there you go. Another landscape idea brought to you by Coach. And I'd like to take a minute and say thanks if you're still with me right here. Consider subscribing and give me a thumbs up on the channel's growing a little bit every single week, and I really appreciate it. Hey, don't forget to check out the podcast, and this weekend I'll be over on the new Wisdom app, talking live. Jump on the new Wisdom app and you can ask questions of me safely right on the internet. We can discuss things. I had a great time last weekend with one of my callers. It was nice to interact right there. I'm still getting used to the live thing, but I'll get there. Anyway, guys, as always, to your landscape success, take care. See you next week. Have a safe, sane weekend.